Breaking news, I've been invited to a party. Hi everyone, I'm Hayley. I'm always in the craft room and this doesn't happen often, but I've been invited to a party. I am so excited to plan and make a brand new party dress for the occasion. I had filmed an intro to this video where I said, shall we make a party dress today? And was expecting like a one-day little sew with me. Well, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know that's not how these things go. I have been collecting footage now on 4 separate days and still I have not even cut out the real fabric nor sewn a stitch of this dress. I've been working on designing it, planning it, making a toile and fitting it. So welcome to a new series where we're going to follow the whole process from start to finish. So let's get into it as we sew a party dress. So, the party. My good friend and neighbour is having a 60th. It's a very British kind of do. It's the upstairs room at a local pub, and I've been thinking about what to wear. And I have the perfect party fabric, which has just been waiting for an excuse to get made up. It is a navy chiffon, and it's quite sheer. And I have had this waiting for just such an invitation for a good few years now. So let's get the whole backstory. I saw a dress and saved it to my inspiration file on my computer probably 5 or 6 years ago. And I just loved this dress. So I started keeping my eye out for a similar fabric when one day an email landed in my inbox from Rainbow Fabrics with this fabric. It's heavy and drapey, but it's still sheer, which is true to the inspiration photo. I'm absolutely thrilled with it and I got loads of it. Let's talk patterns. The pattern I've been thinking of is this one. It's a DKNY. And you'll see it's quite different from the inspiration photo. What I love about this Donna Karan dress, and yeah, the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed I'm wearing it, is how the collar is integrated and it goes up the back of the neck a bit, but it's not a collar. Is it a shawl collar? Let's read the back and see if it describes the collar. Pullover dress has very loose fitting mock wrap front pleated bodice extending into back collar and cap sleeve. Shall I put my hair up? I was all organised and I got a scrunchie ready so I can show you what I like and, of course, it is me, don't like about this bodice. So I love how it comes up. Let's do a full spin. I love how it comes up and is like a collar, but not a stand-up collar. I do love a V-neck. I love a cap sleeve, but the fit isn't perfect, and that is because I made this a long time ago, way before I knew about my particular body proportions and how that relates to the standard proportions for which patterns are drafted. So this dress you can make in stretch silk crepe, stretch chamois, lightweight jersey. And the first version I made of this, I did make in a jersey. I no longer have it, unfortunately, but it was a really nice dress. The reason I no longer have it is that the V came way too low. I think I made a size 8 in this, and let me read the bust sizes. Yeah, I should have made a 14. So that tells you how loose fitting it is meant to be. So I already sized down, but there is still too much fabric. And I now realise there's too much fabric north to south because I know more about my proportions and I have a very short torso. So here is the waistband. And when I made this, after I had made it, I ran the shoulder seams in. I pinched the whole thing up and took some length out at the shoulder seams, which was the best fix I knew at the time. What I would like to do now is make this again, But before I make it out of this, do a proper toile, removing some length out of the bodice from the paper pattern. Now, it is a crazy shaped pattern for all these pleats, but I'm up for the challenge. I reckon I can do it. So this is the skirt, and it is a super interesting design. I'll put up the line drawings. What I don't like about the skirt is basically the pockets. I do think they look cool and they're an interesting design feature, but in a woven fabric specifically, they are a nightmare to iron. This is one of the reasons I sew. I can look at an inspiration picture, take the things I like, leave the things I don't. But yeah, I am torn on a skirt. I do think it should be quite straight, imitating that design. Maybe just really straight with side slits. I'll tell you what I'm thinking actually. The Pattern Scout Flora skirt, that is literally rectangular with side slits. I think that would look really nice. Now, obviously, this is pretty sheer. Let me get one layer up to show you how sheer. So we are going to need something underneath. Luckily, there is a slip included. Nope. There is a slip included in this pattern, which I've also made before. If you're thinking of making this pattern, a word of warning, the slip comes up much smaller than the dress. So I made the slip in an 8 like the dress and it was too small. And then it was super clingy, and you know you want a slip to skim so that anything on the top skims. That was not the case. Yeah. So I definitely need to recut the paper pattern for the slip bigger. But it's got a slip included. I could lengthen it if I want, or I could do a short slip. I'm thinking navy. So I thought about wearing a nude slip underneath it, but I think I do want a navy one. So I've got a bit of shopping to do, a bit of toiling to do. We need to talk. The first thing I'm going to do is a mock-up of this bodice. So I've pulled out my pattern, and as we discussed, this Vogue pattern comes with the dress and the slip. Fantastic, eh? But oh my goodness, big 4 sizing. So I told you I'd made the dress in a size 8 and it was perfect. Bear in mind I measure at a size 14. So imagine if I'd made the dress in a 14, it was too big. I made it in a 12, it was still too big. I made it in a 10, it was still too big. And then I made it in an 8 and I'm like, oh, finally I've got the right size. And then I make the slip. Well, I told you the slip I made was a bit snug, didn't I? And I was thinking, oh, well, you made a size 8, of course it was too snug. But no, I have pulled out the pattern piece for this slip. I'm a good girl and I trace. I traced this slip in a size 12 and it was too small. This is not just the same pattern company. These are out of the same envelope. My measurements are the same. Out of the same envelope, I cut one in an 8, perfect, one in a 12, too small. Anyway, I just had to have a little rant about that. So ignore what I said before. The slip wasn't too small because I cut it in a size 8. The slip was too small because I cut it in a size 12. So my advice on this pattern is size down the dress 4 times. Make your slip in the size recommended on the envelope. So I need to retrace that in a 14. Anyway, that's for down the road. We're testing the bodice first. I was just getting the pattern piece out to check the lengthen and shorten line, and then I realised I have marked it on my pattern. So that is super useful because it's not perpendicular to the grain line. And the next day, with the pleats all marked and pinned, let's get to making a mock-up of this bodice and see how we like it. I have been basting down the pleats as per the pattern instructions, and it's given me something to think about. So this bit is the back collar. It wraps around, and on the front hopefully is marked the centre front, because you have your two pattern pieces that cross in the front, so there's a marking where they should meet. And I wondered about adding a centre front seam at that point. So instead of it being a faux wrap, they just meet in the middle as a V, and then I stitch down at that point. What do we think? So what I'm going to do is extend that centre front line. Okay, on both pieces I've marked a line of what I think is the centre front. I'm going to carry on assembling the collar at the back, and then I can have a better go at pinning it and seeing if what I think will work will work. Watch this space. Okay, hi, we're doing a crazy close-up to show you how I've got on with the bodice. I have basted the back collar down because you turn it all in, and then I've kind of finangled with the facing, and yeah, it's not perfect. In general, I think that bodice, if I can sort the facing out, is absolutely stunning, and I'm so pleased with that idea to make it a centre front seam instead of a cross. That said, I'm super confused now about what to do with the skirt. So I'm going to leave it there for the time being. I think fantastic progress, and I can get it on and off without a zip. Obviously, once we add a waistband, things are going to get snugger, but so far, so good. Okay, the bodice is looking fantastic. I've pressed all of the facings in, restitched the front, so I think it's now meeting at the correct point. I'm loving it. I've been thinking about the skirt, and I mocked up a million different options. I've decided I'm going to try the pattern Scout Flora. The Flora pattern has quite a straight cut skirt, and amazingly, on the paper pattern, Casey tells you the measurements for it, so you don't have to print it all out. So I've literally drawn it out on an old bed sheet. I've attached it to the waistband. There's the elastic, so this is the back skirt and the back waistband, and obviously you're supposed to feed this into a channel, but we're just doing a little mock-up. So I'm literally putting that in at the side seams, and then I'm gonna just do a row of stitching down the middle just to give us an idea. Here is the front skirt piece attached to the front waistband. I've done all this in the wrong order. Like, you're supposed to make the skirt, attach the waistband to the bodice, then attach the skirt to the waistband. But the joy of doing a real toile is that it's just rough and ready, isn't it? I'm not facing the waistband or anything. I'm literally just checking for size and style lines, whether I like the effect, and crucially, whether I can get it on and off without any kind of closures. So I am going to do these side seams with a slit, attach them to the bodice, and I'll meet you back here when hopefully I'm wearing the full bedsheet dress. Ta-da! Here is where we are at. Loving the bodice. Absolutely amazing. I think it looks fantastic. I'm not going to lie, it was a struggle getting it over my head. I had to take my hair down, but you know what? Got it over. It is feeling very snug though. So if we look where the side seams are, they are pulling forward. That is not the side of me like that is. And this elastic feels super tight. It feels uncomfortably tight, but I think it looks pretty good. In terms of the style for the skirt, I do actually, I really like it. Yeah, I'm going to move you back so you can see how long it is. Okay. There are the side splits. I think it's probably a touch longer than I want, but I need to try it with heels. I need to try it in the real fabric. But in general, yes, this is exactly what I was going for. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to release the elastic and see what happens. Okay, here it is with the elastic released. That feels a lot more comfortable. I don't think it looks that different. I don't know that the elastic is really doing a lot for me. The side seams are definitely pulling forwards. It makes sense when you consider I measured at 14 and this is an 8. But I think I'm just going to take a narrower side seam. We've got 5/8 seam allowances. I don't want to retrace the pattern. So I'm loving the general shape of this neckline, but there is too much fabric on this inner edge. And I think it's because of my square shoulders. I think a normal person's neck would take up more of this, whereas this is my shoulder point, but there's not stuff up here, which there normally would be, I think. I don't know. It seems to me that one way to solve it is just to pinch some out along there. Or I could just leave it and kind of wear the collar as a bit of a stand-up job. But you see how here it doesn't know where to go. It just feels like this is too long. I don't think I want to take any more waist, any more height out of the whole piece, because this feels like it's in the right place and I don't want it to get restrictive from shoulder to waistband. This is the shape of the pattern piece, so it's really not the easiest to alter and get my head around, because this is the center back, so it wraps around. I can't even. So those pleat, this is the armhole, and then that goes around the back of your neck. Oof. I don't know. I'm going to have a think about it. But I do think we need to do something because of this pleating situation. But yeah, in general, loving it. Like the side slits. What a great afternoon's work. Just getting this far with a basically satisfactory mock-up. And I think I'm going to go with the skirt, the Flora skirt with the side slits, midi length. I really like it. So I've been thinking about how to alter this neckline. You can see across here on the front pattern piece the length and shorten line where I have folded out 3 centimetres total. This is the front edge that wraps around into the collar. And so I did wonder, could I just, if there is 3 centimetres, 1.5 in the fold, I need to remove about 2 centimetres from around the front. Could I just lift this up a bit and refold it so that this bit's shorter? That's one possibility. The other thing I thought I could do was mess with the collar bit. So that is centre back. Could I take some out here. Now, this folds to create the facing and the collar, like that. So at first I was thinking I could just chop some off there, but I can't because then it won't fit the back neckline. And yeah, so it needs to be somewhere around there. Let me get the actual muslin, the toile, and I will show you. This is the centre back seam, and then you fold in 5/8 seam allowance, and then you fold it in half, like so. So everything is fully enclosed. So if I want to take some out of this edge that goes around the front, I would need to do it kind of like that, in a kind of diamond shape, so that this edge is still long enough. I think what I'm going to do is do the neckline alteration on the toile because I've got that and that's easy to do. If that doesn't work, then I've still got the option to change it at the length and shorten line, but that will require a second toile. So let's take this to the machine and alter the back neckline. Okay, I've altered the back neck, and first impression is don't love it because it is making it a kind of dipped shape, whereas before it was straight. So I'm going to try it on and see how it looks. Okay, so I think it's actually sorted it. It's sitting flat now, I think. I think that has just accommodated my forward neck. I think that looks great. So maybe that's it. That's all I needed to do. That has solved the issue. Yay. So that is where we're going to leave it today. I have got everything ready to go. I've got my toile fitted. I'm 99% happy with the fit. So join me next time as I cut out the fabric and start the sewing process. And if you have any hints or tips for me about fitting or about sewing with a very tricky, floaty, shifty, heavy chiffon, please do share them in the comments below. You guys are always so knowledgeable and so helpful. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen already. I hope you come back for episode 2. Bye.